The age of the Apple Silicon is well and truly here, and the new redesigned iMac is a demonstration of this. Sleek, colorful, powerful, and designed for the many, not just the few. I'm EMKWAN, and I've been using the new iMac 2021 for a number of weeks now, so this is my long-term review. Here's what you need to know about the new iMac after all the hype. So a sensible place to start this video would be talking about the design, or rather the redesign, completely from the ground up, because this is something that caught a lot of people's attention when they first saw the iMac. And the iMac redesign is really down to what is inside powering it, the M1 chip, and I'll talk more about the performance element of that in a moment. But one of the major benefits and the way to understand the redesign is the fact that the M1 chip does give some incredible gains in efficiency, which whenever you put that M1 chip into a device, that device will then be able to work off some of those benefits. And you can see that clearly in the iMac, because if you compare it with the previous generation iMac, this is not only incredibly light, but it's incredibly thin. For an all-in-one desktop computer, it is ridiculously thin. In fact, if I compared it with an iPhone 12 or even the Series 6 Apple Watch, it is ridiculously thin. And that's one of the reasons why the headphone jack is actually on the side here as opposed to on the back. So this is one of the big benefits of the redesign to the iMac. The other thing is that they did get some criticism as to why it still has lip. I personally don't have a problem with that, and more importantly, this is where the guts of the entire, iMac is at the bottom over here. I would have personally liked to see Apple keep the Apple logo over there, but that's okay. It's not a major issue. You still have that very large Apple logo on the back. Now, depending on the model that you go with, there is the availability of USB 4 or Thunderbolt with the USB 3 ports available on the back. What Apple have done interestingly this year is on certain models, given you the ability to use the power adapter also for the gigabit Ethernet cable, which you can plug directly in there. Just saves up space when it comes to wires on the back. Now, this is gonna be okay, I think, for majority of people. There will be some users that will require more. Now, what is also interesting is kind of the return of MagSafe in a particular way. The cables on these are braided. It's like this woven cable, which actually matches the color combination that you go with on your iMac. It looks really nice. It feels sturdy. It feels very premium. And it attaches via magnets to the back. Now, what is interesting is that it doesn't work in the same way as the old school MagSafe was intended to use. This is much harder to actually pull out, but it does attach via magnets in that way. So another update which has been really well done is when it comes to the accessories. These have been updated to color match the particular iMac that you go with. So you can see here the Magic Keyboard has the same color hue as the stand on the iMac. This particular variation that I've got comes with the Magic Keyboard with Touch ID enabled, and also the Magic Mouse. And you can see the Magic Mouse is pretty much the same as what we've come to expect from the Magic Mouse. I'm not a big fan of this, being totally honest. For no particular reason. I think it's a really nice mouse, but I just prefer to use the Magic Trackpad. Now, as far as the keyboard, just coming back to that very quickly, this does support Touch ID above the base model. Touch ID along with Mac OS Big Sur will mean that you're able to actually customize different profiles, and Touch ID does such a good job at logging in and getting straight to your particular profile. So as far as sound quality is concerned, under the iMac, you're going to get 2 pairs of force cancelling woofers, and the advantages of this is that you get good deep bass sounds without giving you that excessive vibration, and it does a very good job on the new iMacs. Now, since we're talking about design, I have to take a moment to talk about the colors, because this year's iMacs were all released in a range of different vibrant colors. Initially, when I saw it, I'm a bit old school. I tend to go with either black, white, aluminum, silver, and that's about it. But the new iMacs really surprised me, because the interest that the colors had garnered online, on social media from the general public was quite interesting, because people rarely get excited about laptops, let alone a desktop computer, but the color aspect of it, I think Apple did really well in certainly aiming this for the general market. Now, one of the other things that I was a little critical about, and it wasn't just me, other people felt this way when we initially saw those renders, were about the bezels. Now, initially, my impressions of the bezels were that they were going to be, odd looking because they appeared to be white, but in reality and in fact, they are actually a kind of grayish white mixture. And what they do very, very cleverly is in most situations, like the room that I'm in, which is painted with magnolia walls, even in other situations, those gray bezels actually help the attention not to fall on the bezels themselves, but actually on that very, very beautiful, vibrant Retina display. Now, talking of display, it is in fact a 24-inch, 4.5K Retina display. It doesn't feel like a 24-inch. In fact, because of the redesign, it feels more like a 21-inch, but you do have that expansive display at the same time. And I'm a big, big fan of this display. It's been a joy to work on, whether it's multimedia, whether it's playing games or, the other stuff that you would expect to do. I've really appreciated the larger canvas space, if you like, particularly when I was doing multitask work on the iMac. And I think this display size is going to appeal to a lot of people because it's just the right size to go in various rooms and in various situations as well. Now, what's interesting is you have a 4480 by 2520. It's actually a step up from the predecessor that had 4096 by 2304, though both have effectively the same pixel density. Now, something else which is nice to see updated on the new iMac is the webcam, because the webcam on the iMac has been notoriously bad, but on the new 2021 iMac, we get an update. It's a 1080p FaceTime HD camera, so it's going to give you better quality, but coupled with the improvements with the M1 chip that work around the image signal processor, the neural engine, overall quality has been much more improved. And I've noticed this on Zoom calls, I've noticed this even when I've been playing around with Photo Booth, it does a much better job. So the central update on the new iMacs are around Apple's own silicon. We've seen the M1 showcased in the MacBook Pro, and this is what we're getting on the iMac 2. The M1 doesn't need much introduction. It's essentially Apple's own chip that has a benefit of 4 very fast cores and 4 lower powered high efficiency cores. So this allows the M1 devices to deliver arguably the best performance per watt, particularly when you compare them with other chips. It also means that they're nearly unbeatable in single core workloads, which is what a lot of users do and need day to day. So when it comes to performance, navigating between different apps, they feel quick, responsive. Even when you're juggling and going through multiple types of applications, the new iMac also performed well in the Geekbench scores, giving a respectable score of about 7,166 in the multi-core test and 1,740 in the single-core test. The audience Apple is trying to target with the new iMacs are those that need efficiency and speed without the GPU and graphic-intensive workloads that, will appeal to pro users. Look, I consider myself, and for my needs, to be more in the pro camp, but even I've been incredibly impressed with how well the iMac with the M1 chip has handled my content needs. I'm talking Final Cut Pro, 4K, 60 frames footage, rendering times are just incredible. As for the fans, they rarely kicked in. Only a couple of times with Cinebench tests coupled with 4K editing, Chrome browsers, did it feel like it was being really pushed. Now, coming back to the pro users, there is another important point that's worth remembering. Mac OS Big Sur still doesn't play nicely with certain third-party apps that are popular with those pro users. And if you're the type of pro user that also likes and requires upgrades like RAM and storage, then this is an unupgradable option for the future. In summary, Apple's release of the new iMac, I think it surprised some in the tech community, but I feel having used this machine, it's clear who Apple were aiming for in this release. When you factor the price and Mac OS plus, Apple's ecosystem, it's clearly positioned as a desktop computer that works well for most users. So think of family environments where you've got multiple people and needs, the working from home parent, the children or teenagers, the occasional content creator. This is an all-in-one desktop machine that's coupled with vibrant and friendly design and those colors. It's gonna appeal to a much larger audience than just us tech enthusiasts. And that's a good thing. I really think that's a good thing. And this is one of the reasons why I think the iMac 2021 and going forward is going to be an incredibly popular desktop Apple computer. Let me know what you think of the iMac in the comments below, and check out this other video where I review another cool product. I'll see you over there next.